Everyone, let's welcome in Marshall Teague.
Hey, how you doing, everybody? Good to see you.
All right. Now, you guys will probably most likely know him from easily Armageddon and Roadhouse, and one of my personal favorite films, A Dangerous Place.
Ah, my goodness.
Oh, yeah. And of course, as I just discovered you on Tales from the Crypt, what was it like working in some of those?
Uh, each one is different. First of all, I mean, you're always got a different crew, different director, different cast. But it all comes to, it's interesting. It's an interesting question in that no matter where you go, no matter who's shooting it and the people around you and, tugging, fixing, doing whatever, everybody it just always comes out great and fun. You have fun, you meet new people. And in some cases, there's people that you never forget or you've known of for a long time. And then all of a sudden you meet them and it's kind of like, wow, finally, took long enough. So it's always a pleasure.
So, what are your thoughts on A Dangerous Place?
A dangerous place. Wow. You know, uh, I didn't know what I was getting into when we got the film. Uh, I didn't know the people. I mean, there was a guy on there that I have always liked him. I've seen him through the years, and then to find out that I was going to be working with Mako, wow, I was just happy to come to work. All the kids were great. I got to tell you, the kids were great. Corey, even though he's, you know, Corey was not exactly the most graceful human being in the world as far as his physical ability and martial arts, but he was more than willing to, sit down and listen. And he says, you know how to do this stuff. I don't. Help me look good. And he was, he's very open and worked together well. And what he couldn't do, we had somebody else do, but he always wanted to get in there and try. But everybody, Aaron Gray, everybody was just lovely to work with. To play such a really a Balmoral swine that I was, we all at the end of the day just had a great time.
I consider him like a more evil version of Kreese, if you think about it from Cobra Kai. I mean,
Yeah, I think Cobra Kai. I think I actually kind of topped him out. I was a little bit worse worse character than him by a long shot. I think.
he wasn't like kill him. You were like just kill him, make it look like an accident.
Well, there's sometimes you just got to take care of business, and this guy, as far as he was concerned, was just get rid of him. It's a bump in the road, wipe out the bump, move on.
It was a
Pretty
very
cold blood. He was pretty cold blooded.
it was a very interesting film too. I hate that it was so underrated.
The times, it was underrated, and I have said this to many people, because the quality of the film was very good. The people that were in it all came to the dance ready to do the same thing. You know what I mean? They came to work and make it happen, and it was that good. Or you want me to go higher? You want me to go harder? Everybody was in that frame of mind. Uh, and then when it came out, it. I mean, people didn't dislike it, but it just didn't get. It didn't get the what I would say the nod that I thought it should have had.
It
I mean,
went
was
under
it an
the.
Academy Award winning film? No, it wasn't.
It just kind
But
of
it was a
slipped
good
under the
little action
radar.
film. Yeah, I agree. Well said.
And I found it on VHS when I was a kid, and me, I loved it. So I was like, yeah, this is cool. I also liked the name of the karate group, the Scorpions.
Scorpions. Yeah,
I mean,
that's kind of got that. It's got that edge to it, doesn't it?
it kind of gives me
You
Mortal
know.
Kombat vibes.
Yeah,
Scorpion.
absolutely. Scorpion, tail, sting you, bark, that kind of stuff. Yeah, I agree. Thank you. That's a very good analogy. Thanks.
Man,
I'm going to save that. I'm stealing that, by the way.
okay, it's stolen, and you have my legally binding contract on video here.
Cool.
Oh,
I'm
you know,
just I'm just glad you appreciated it. which as people may pick it up on a Saturday night or Friday or Thursday or whatever, and all of a sudden, let's give it a watch and see, and they'll sit there and say, that wasn't bad.
It's
The
actually
action
kind of
was good.
heartbreaking.
The people were very good in it. I really like that. So
I didn't cry during Karate Kid. I cried during that movie. I mean, the way everything was just set up in there, the way that they staged his brother's death and stuff, I was like, oh man, I'm crying here.
yeah, it had some good. It had really good. It had some good moments. And as people like yourself have picked up on it, they see that there was a lot of effort went into making that what it was. They're not all. Everybody. Compares. Well, it's not the big budget film. No, it's not. No, it's not Black Adam. But people saw Black Adam. They not necessarily all that thrilled either. I liked it. I liked that Black Adam, but was it as good as I think it should have been? No, it kind of left me with questions. But it's the same thing people have said about this. So it's comparing apples and oranges, or oranges and onions, or whatever. But it really comes down to you take what you've got and you do the best you can with it, and you come out with a pretty darn good film.
And I give it an 8 out of 10. It's really worth a watch too.
Thank
It's
you. Thank you.
it needs like a Blu-ray release. I do have the official DVD now, and it cost me an arm and a leg to get it, but it needs a Blu-ray.
Well, I agree. Thank you. Get the word out there. It needs a Blu-ray.
Oh yeah. Now we're talking about good budget films, big budget films. Let's talk about Roadhouse. What was it like working on that?
Probably one of the thrills of my life. I can say that. People will say I've heard him say this line, and maybe a other interview or two. But at first, we went to a fight, and a movie broke out. And then a good movie broke out, and probably one of the best, dearest, most wonderful friendships that I miss every day of my life came about because of Roadhouse. And the bond that took place, and I say the bond that took place because the entire cast and crew bonded very well in this, and they came together. When everybody saw what was taking place, everybody got on board. Everybody wanted to do the best they could, because they knew, again, and this is a pure, rough, tough, kick butt, take names love story. If you really want to, Patrick and I became so close, and I've known Patrick since 1978, but never worked with him. We weren't, close, but when Roadhouse was over, and during that time, we developed a friendship that was so unbelievably close. And that's why I say I miss him every day of my life. I can't tell you, there's not a week, mostly several days, just because of TV and everything else and interviews go by, where I don't think of the guy. Think of his wife. They were a pair of my friends. I worked with both of them. I did shows with Lisa Nemi, and I worked with Patrick. And, family affair. What do you want to say?
I mean, I've heard that
what
he's
questions do you have about Roadhouse? Everybody's got their own questions about Roadhouse, and I'm sure you do.
Oh, I do. I mean, to be part of that big phenomenon movie, I mean, how did it feel?
Honestly, we did not know it was going to be as big as it was. As it started to grow, and when you see the effort that everybody, and I do mean everybody, put into it, we felt the power of the film in just the effort put forth by everybody to make it a good film, a great film. I mean, when you have people show up on the set to watch a day's work, and they're not on the call sheet, they come to the set because they want to see what's happening next. And that happened. I can't even tell you how many times that happened. Yeah, they say, yeah, while we're here, we'll have lunch, but we came to watch the fight. We want to see what this is doing. We can help. I mean, there were a lot of the guys that were the heavies or whatever. They showed up, on when they weren't even in the scenes because they wanted to make sure that their characters matched the energy that was being put out. And they did. Every single one of them. So to say, what was it like to me? I'm in a movie. I was in a movie, and this is, most actors cannot say this. I guarantee it. Most actors, they'll have a big movie. But to have a movie that is popular 35 years later, and when there's probably not a week that it doesn't play somewhere, and people are watching, and they watch it, and they watch it, and they watch it. I mean, I was down in Middle Texas just a week ago. Out with some friends of mine at night, just out hanging out. And I get a call from a guy, a friend of mine in Tennessee, and he says, "My wife's watching Roadhouse. Just want you to know." So I said, "Great, man. She's not bored? Oh no, she's dead serious about it." So you get calls like this all the time. I think the famous call that happens though, Bill Murray. He's friends with Kelly Lynch and her husband, and every time it plays that they see it, or Bill Murray sees it, and he likes it. He calls them up. And he says, "Yeah, there's you and your wife, Patrick, getting it on again," and it's just an ongoing thing that happens. Kelly just goes, "Yeah."
I wonder, what did you think of, like, many years later, Family Guy comes out years later and they just do an entire episode referencing Roadhouse? What did you think of that?
You know, that's Chris. Chris, how do you pronounce Pratt? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I didn't know anything about it. People said, you were in, what is it, Family Guy? Is that what it is, or what's the name of the show again?
Family Guy.
Family Guy.
Back when it was good.
Told me, said, you were in an episode of you're talked about in Family Guy, and I didn't know what they were talking. I'd never really seen the show. And finally one night it came on, and so I said, "Well, need to watch it tonight because it's playing." It's there, and I watched, and that was the funniest thing that he did, or animated thing that was done. And I mean, you said the entire show was done that, and there was one that I got them mixed up. I've got them mixed up. Family Guy's the animated, then the other show that Chris Pratt was doing at the time, he did a thing on Roadhouse. He was talking to some Japanese people. He was trying to talk. He did this whole, and it's funny, the things that come across. Young Rock, Dwayne Johnson.
Yeah, I know.
Rock,
yeah,
they put it in a show of theirs because he watched it when he was going to college. It's that's what I'm talking about. You make a movie that has lasted that long and is still going strong. Now they're making the remake of it. I think I'm not sure they're going to stream that, I believe, but trying to make that over again. I wish them well. I had somebody ask me, "What do you think about it?" I said, "Ask me that question 35 years from now if I'm still around. If their movie still rocks as much as the one that I did." Who knows? So that should answer your question about what it meant to me and what it still means to me.
Now, one of my favorite movies you were in, and I know a lot of people don't like this movie anymore. I saw it in the theaters when it came out. I was a young pup, was Armageddon.
Sure. Hey,
And
I dug it.
I liked it too. Yeah.
Do you know what it's like to, and I'm speaking from the inside looking out. And that gang, that Willis had is guy. I mean, it was hilarious to start out with. However, the serious part of that is when you're at NASA and you have a chance to stand on the breezeway that walks you into the space shuttle, the gantry. And now, granted, there was one on the pad getting ready to take off in 17 days. We're shooting on that pad with the space shuttle, getting ready to go up 17 days before launch, and we're standing on the gantry where heroes walked up there. And then I had lunch with the astronauts that were going.
That's
I don't care
amazing.
what anybody thinks. Yeah, we had lunch with them, and I don't care what anybody says about it. I thought it was great. There was another movie that Robert Duvall was in, and Tia Leone. They were doing that movie about another asteroid that hits the planet, and they had a 1,000-foot wave. The big thing about that was the 1,000-foot wave that wiped out the city. Well, okay. Well, we had one that was going to wipe out the entire world, and we went up there and turned it. Yes, it was. Is it far-fetched? No, it's not, because they're experimenting right now on what happens if one comes in.
I mean,
they're already doing what we did now to find out if we do have a first offense.
I thought it was an incredible movie, and I thought all the characters, especially yours, were all really memorable, even though some do get axed off early in the film. But the casting in general was just fantastic. And I know it's a Michael Bay film, there's got to be an explosion in it, but I don't know. The way he wrote this, it felt really, I don't know, it just felt really great to watch. It was a good view, and the emotions were in there. And let's not forget the music by Aerosmith was great too.
Thank you. I was going to bring that up, dude. That was, that music really capped it off in a big way. I got misty. I don't know about you. I got
Oh,
a little misty. But Michael Bay people, I've worked with Michael Bay twice. Did The Rock with him and did Armageddon. Some people like it, but some people don't. That's fine. A lot of his stuff is kind of like a music video. There's a cut every 4 to 8 seconds,
yeah.
but it moves and it works. And I think the world of him. I think he's crazy. People say he's crazy. I say, yeah, you're right. He is. He's crazy like a fox. And
Hmm.
most people can't think as fast as he sees. He's seeing things so far in advance. He's so far ahead of you, in what he sees and where he's going. You just pray that you can keep up with him.
I mean, look at what he did do. The first two Transformers movies were just like some of the biggest pieces of media in the world.
How he could think about, I know the computer does it, but to think, Transformers, the cartoon. Remember the cartoon? It was a cartoon. I've actually watched, since I did it, I actually picked it up on TV and watched, a couple of the old Transformer cartoons. And they transformed, but they didn't transform the way he had them transform.
No,
That
they
intertwining of machinery to come out and B is standing there, come on. That's masterful.
that is some good effects he put in. That's why I really like Armageddon. And the story, honestly, it just kind of gives you the feels, is a better way to say it, because around the end, I mean, I was in tears around the end of the movie where Bruce Willis actually does his darndest and actually sacrifices himself to save Ben Affleck's character. I mean, I was
Yeah.
crying.
You know, I, I'm glad you said that because over the years, I've had a bunch of people, some pretty big dudes come up and say, man, I was misty on that last piece. They had me hooked, line,
Oh,
and sinker. Everybody, so when you say that, I appreciate it. I really appreciate it because you're not the only guy that has said, yeah, I got a little misty with that one. Me, they said you did your best imitation of a mosquito hitting a windshield at 17,500 miles an hour. Okay, great. But I love the character. I love the lines. I love what I got to do. Being a part of that, wow.
I,
I mean, I have a lot of wows in, the word wow in my life with things I've done. And that tickles me to pieces. Not, I hear other people say, "Yes, I did this movie." Yeah, but can you say wow? You know, and they can't. But I can,
I mean, it
and
was,
you're proof. You're
yeah,
proof of that.
it stuck with me, which I think what really helped the movie stick with me, because I seen it when I was 8, then I rewatched it again as a teenager. But what really kept it in my mind was the music videos Aerosmith kept doing on it and how it was just everywhere at the
Oh,
time growing up at that time. I was like, yep, yep, I've got to watch this movie again because I love this music video.
yeah, yeah. When I was hanging out with his daughter,
Yeah,
Liv lives there, and she's such a precious person to work. She's so sweet, so incredibly sweet to work with, and a total pro, you know, to boot. She's a total pro, but such a sweet, sweet lady that you just, when you see her smile in the morning, just kind of lightened everybody up. It's, oh, hey, Liv, how you doing? Oh, fine, you guys, yeah. It was like a family. Again, I like another family. So in that sense, I've been very blessed.
I know that I think one of my favorite ideas from the movie is Billy Bob Thornton as president. I don't know why.
Pushing that stretch, you're pushing that stretch a little far, aren't you? Okay.
Well, no, I'm not going to go there. I'll give
Obviously, Michael Bay didn't quite see it that way, but okay.
I don't know why. I just found him really likable as a president. I mean, he kind of had it down. I mean, I'd vote for him.
He was. My favorite part is when he took the two toys and ran them around. He said, "When you come around, do the slingshot thing," and there you go with his toys. And him explaining that to a bunch of roughnecks, which is the only way they would understand it. He did a masterful job of it.
And that's not the only movie that's made me cry with Michael Clark Duncan in it. Green Mile did that to me.
Oh, Green Mile's the one that got me. You know how he got that?
Hard to get that.
All right. They had initially asked, I forgot who they initially asked. They initially asked Bruce Willis to play that character, or to play the guard, which I think
Tom,
Tom Hanks played.
no, not Tom
And
Hanks. I can't remember the actor's name. He's from Crazy in Alabama. He's the tall guy.
oh, the tall blonde. Oh, okay,
Brutal.
yeah,
Brutal's
I
the
know who you're
character's
talking
name.
about. But anyway, he couldn't do it. He didn't feel that he was right for the character. But after reading the script, the guy that was Michael Clark Duncan's, he said, "Guys, if you don't see this, I've got a guy on my movie I'm doing right now. This is while we were shooting Armageddon." He said, "There is a guy on the movie that this was written for." He said, "You have got to meet this guy." And I'll tell you another little wonderful thing. When Michael was getting ready to do the reading, he had to go in obviously and read. They had to see if he could do the job, if he had the chops. Willis worked with him. Willis worked with him. He wanted him to get this so bad. He went over and worked with him to make sure that he was so ready when he went in there, and he was. I mean, he went in there and just took the room. After he finished the reading, they sat him down and talked to him. And my understanding from when Michael told me, he said, "I was in there for an hour." He said, "I thought I was going to be in there for 3 minutes. I was in there for an hour." And they just kept asking questions. He said, "You're so big. Why didn't you play pro ball?" And Michael came back and said, "My mom wouldn't let me." That was his answer. My mama wouldn't let me.
uh, now, now we're going to talk about your reunion, kind of, with Corey Feldman in Tales from the Crypt, the assassin. It's a small cameo, but
It was
I
a,
was
it
just
was
so
yeah.
I was just watching the episode the other day just to watch it because I go through Tales from the Crypt all the time, and I just like, hey, Feldman's in this one, and I put it on, and it's like, and it showed your name, and it showed you there, and I was like, oh, I know him.
Yeah. Here they are back together again.
This time they're not trying to kill a student in the process. This time his
No,
wife is trying to kill someone.
my wife's going to kill him. It's okay.
Yeah,
Again, keep it in the family.
it's a reverse.
He was great. Tales of the Crypt. I did two of them over the years, and they shoot them, and I forgot what they shot him. I think it was 6 days an episode. And Corey, Philman came in. We talked. He says, "Well, I'm thinking about doing this and this and this and this." I said, "Corey, I mean, man, I've watched your brain work over things. You just go do whatever it tells you to do, and it'll be just fine. It'll be a Philman special." And he did, and it was, and there you go. So,
I actually know him so well that when I do talk about stuff like that, he'll
yeah.
go on and on about how he did on the set. It's just, I'll be like,
Look,
I didn't know
I've
if I
heard
did this
Philman's.
right.
Tim, I've heard Philman's stories. I didn't have him. Yeah, I mean, does he look at the world a little bit different? Absolutely,
Definitely.
absolutely looks at the world a little bit different. I got along wonderfully with him, but also because I think you know the other movie when he saw that martial arts is something that I really do, I think he was afraid to tick me off. So he couldn't have been nicer. But no, he was always good for a joke, and you know what? He not afraid to make fun of himself, which is always cool.
Yeah, he
You know,
does.
the people take pot shots. You know that. Corey over the years, but he's also one where he can turn around, he can take it, he can dish it out. If you can't take it, you don't bother me. He's good at it.
When I designed him a coffee mug, and he looks at it in the main picture that I used, he says, "God, I looked like a douche in that movie." Yeah.
That's him. That's him. He's blatantly honest about things.
Yes, he is, and I love the guy to death. I mean,
He's a sweetheart. He really is. I don't care what other people say about it because I've never had a bad moment with it.
same here. I was actually going through something a couple years ago. See, I design coffee mugs for people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm planning to design you one. Don't worry.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you.
And I put all their characters on it that they played. And I did one for another certain lady, an actress, voice actress. I did it with all her characters, sent her the mug free of charge and everything. And she couldn't even say thank you. Feldman got so irritated that he responded on my tweet. He says, "That is rude and disrespectful to do to a fan. You should be ashamed to call yourself a celebrity if you're going to do that to your fans. Shame on
I
you."
I could not agree with him more. I tell people all the time, I've had people go, "Well, you're an actor." I said, "No, what I am is a human being that has a job that's just a little different. That's all. I do what I do is, yes, I am an actor, but that doesn't make me any more important than you or anybody else. When somebody does a good turn by me, thank you. It means a lot. Without the fans that you have, what are you? Nothing. You're not anything. I don't care how big you think you are. You're nothing without the fan base that watches you.
I,
Simply put,
I agree 100%. I mean, I'm not a celebrity by any means, but I do have a small, tiny following that's kind of like ants that watch my videos. So,
don't sell yourself short, man. Don't sell yourself short. You've got to follow me. You got people out there that listen to what you have to say because you get people that they would love to talk to and can't, but you can. You can sit down. You and I were sitting down here. What are we doing? We're sitting here, a couple of guys shooting a bull, having a good time.
I mean, that's all is I really do is like I'm not trying to get into the deepness of your mind or whatever. I'm just want to have fun and enjoy time and enjoy talking about what I love, and that's movies.
That's cool,
So,
man.
and
But
your
you've got
performance
my attention.
your performances stuck out to me. I mean, a lot. That's why when you followed me on Twitter, I was like, I have to ask if he'll do an interview. I'm gonna beg.
You didn't have to beg, did you?
No, I didn't. You were more than
No,
happy to, and
no, you didn't.
I see you're one of the few people that actually treat your fans really, really well.
You know, my wife and I work this together. Just like we are together, we work this together. She's very good at making me sound better than I normally would, because she says, it's just that's what your partner does with you and helps me. She helps me, it's great, but you've got to relate to the fans. And I try to do that the best I can.
I mean, so one more question. What's your favorite role that you did, and why is it Roadhouse?
Oh,
I
you mean it can't be Roadhouse?
already know it's going to be Roadhouse.
Okay, are you looking for second top?
No, I'm actually, yeah, second best.
It's a little movie I did years ago. It was called Last Ounce of Courage. Didn't get out there. It went out at the wrong time. It's a wonderful little movie about you and me and everybody. It's about what does all of this really mean to you? So think about it. It was just a favorite little. I got a chance to say kind of what was on my mind, and to me it was a pleasure. And plus, I got to work with Fred the Hammer Williams. #1 Super Bowl sits right there on his face. Let me wear it, by the way. He
That's
let me
awesome.
wear it. I was afraid he was going to say, "No, you can't wear my ring because you didn't play football." I said, and I said, "No, we're both martial artists." And he took it off. He stuck it on my finger. Of course, it flopped around my finger. He got big, big hands, but I put it on and I looked at it like this. And yeah, that was pretty cool, man, to wear the first Super Bowl ring.
That is awesome. I'm actually envious there.
Well, I was quite taken by the fact that he took it off and basically put it on my finger.
So you really do martial arts.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Like if the
I've been
time
doing this
came,
since I was 9 years old.
that's really awesome. I only know a little bit of kata myself, so
Okay, it's a
I
form of kata is a form, but it's also katas were based also on you know meditation. Katas were also meditation. People did them to get their mind clear, to get their body and mind working together. It's not necessarily that it is, that, but it's from a form of meditation. And people use katas and they work through them a lot because it does clear their mind. It gives them focus. And I never was the best at it. I did a lot of them, but I never was the best. There are other people that make it almost a ballet. It's so good, what they do.
well,
Those were in my younger years, by the way.
I've got to say, in all honesty, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. And please never forget what you said about the fans. Fans are the most important.
Yes, they are.
And, if people want to get in touch with me and everything, it's Marshall R. Teague. Just remember, put the R in Facebook, Twitter. They can, check me out there. We put things out. I know you do. And again, I appreciate it.